Breaking news from the heart of Philadelphia. The tension is rising. The whispers are getting louder. And behind the scenes at the NovaCare complex, the atmosphere is electrifying. There's no more denying it. Something big is happening inside the Philadelphia Eagles organization. And as your insider plugged into every heartbeat of this team, I've got crucial news to share with you. We all know one thing for sure. Howie Roseman, our relentless and visionary general manager, is absolutely locked in. The man is on a mission to bring another Lombardi trophy to Philly. But let's be honest, before we dream about confetti falling at the link, there are still some serious questions this team needs to address. And trust me, I've got fresh intel straight from behind the curtain. But before I lay it all out, I need you to do one thing. Smash that like button, but only if you believe that Howie's master plan is working, and that this team is heading back to the Super Bowl. I believe it, with all my heart. If you're with me, drop this in the comments. Go Birds! Let's get that Super Bowl. Alright, now focus in, because what I'm about to share could change the way you see this team moving forward. Let's get into it. Rumors are swirling, and they're picking up serious steam. The latest discussion? A potential blockbuster trade involving Nolan Smith and a draft pick heading to the Pittsburgh Steelers in exchange for one of the most dominant defensive players in the game, TJ Watt. Yeah, you heard that right. This isn't some random fan theory. It's a real conversation happening across media platforms in both Philly and Pittsburgh, and it's creating serious division among fans and analysts alike. The conversation first sparked on 94.1 WIP, Philadelphia's flagship station, when a hypothetical trade was proposed, Nolan Smith and a third-round pick for TJ Watt. The response? Polarizing. According to a poll hosted by the Midday Show with Joe Giglio and former Eagle Hugh Douglas, 61.6% of respondents said no, they wouldn't make the deal. That's thousands of fans saying they'd rather keep Smith than bring in Watt. But that's just the Philly side of things. Over in Pittsburgh, radio host Andrew Filipponi wasn't shy about his opinion. He tweeted out that same hypothetical scenario and said he would absolutely do it. That's coming from someone plugged into the Steelers' inner workings. So now, this isn't just smoke. This thing's got a spark. Let's talk facts. TJ Watt is an absolute force of nature. He's not just good, he's elite. 5-time All-Pro, NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 2021, 6th most career sacks among active players with 108, and he's played his entire 8-year career in Pittsburgh. If you add him to a defensive line that already features Jalen Carter, you're looking at nightmare fuel for opposing quarterbacks. You can't double both of them. Try it, and someone's getting crushed. But here's the catch. Watt is entering the final year of his contract, and he's not happy. He skipped voluntary OTAs trying to negotiate a new deal. His current contract, signed back in 2021, pays him $28 million per year, but with how the edge rusher market has exploded, that number suddenly looks like a bargain. Just 3 months ago, Myles Garrett signed a deal worth $40 million annually with $123.5 million in guarantees. And guess what? Watt has more career sacks than Garrett. The argument that he deserves to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the league is legit. So, what would it take to land Watt in midnight green? Nolan Smith and a third-round pick. On paper, it sounds doable. Philadelphia has the draft capital, 2 third-round picks in 2026, including one from the Jets, plus a projected comp pick from the Milton Williams departure. They've got 2 fourths, a conditional 5th that could become a 4th from the Bryce Huff deal, and a handful of 5ths and 7ths from other teams. The pieces are there if Howie Roseman wants to make a move. But is it the right one? Let's zoom in on Nolan Smith, because his name keeps getting tossed around like he's just another guy. But he's not. The jump he made from year 1 to year 2 was eye-opening. His 2024 campaign saw him rack up 6.5 sacks in the regular season and 4 more in the postseason, leading the entire NFL in playoff sacks. His burst, athleticism, and physicality for his size make him a nightmare matchup. And don't overlook this stat. Nolan Smith had a higher rate of high-quality sacks per pass rush than TJ Watt last season. Let that sink in. Smith's overall Pro Football Focus grade? 76.1, 27th at the position. His pass rush grade was 70.2. Run defense? 77.6. Those are serious numbers for a guy who logged just 277 pass rush snaps. That ranked 70th in the league. Imagine what he can do with more reps. Toward the end of the year, when he became a true focal point in the Eagles' front seven, his production skyrocketed. And let's not forget the leadership factor. With the retirements of legends like Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, and Brandon Graham, the Eagles need new voices in the locker room. Nolan Smith is already becoming one of them. He's got that contagious energy, the positivity, the work ethic. When he was drafted, people immediately saw shades of Brandon Graham in his personality and playing style. Losing a guy like that wouldn't just be a hit on the field, it'd be emotional too. But this is TJ what we're talking about. Plug him into this defense and you might have the most dangerous front in the NFL. A guy like that shifts the entire identity of a defense. He makes everyone around him better. He forces offensive coordinators to change their game plans. But what about the cost? That's the elephant in the room. What will be 31 in October? He's been banged up in the past, even if he's played through a lot of it. And if you trade for him, you're not just sending assets to Pittsburgh, you're also committing to a potentially record-breaking contract extension. Do you want to risk throwing $40+ million a year at a guy who might be elite for another 3 years, or might start to decline? The Eagles have made a clear effort this offseason to stay young and cost-effective on defense. They're currently spending less than $65 million on the entire unit, the lowest in the NFL. The Steelers, in comparison, are spending $115 million more. Do you blow up that strategy now and bring in a high-priced veteran? Or do you trust the process and let your young guns grow? That's the million-dollar question. Because this trade isn't just about stats or contracts, it's about identity. What kind of team are the Eagles building for 2025 and beyond? Do they want to go all in on a win-now move with what? Or stay the course with rising talents like Nolan Smith? And that's where I want to hear from you, Eagles Nation. What do you think about all of this? Would you be willing to send Nolan Smith and a third-round pick to Pittsburgh for TJ Watt? Or do you believe in the homegrown talent and want to keep building from within? Because if you think this discussion is going away anytime soon, think again. The idea of trading for TJ Watt has lit a fire under the fan base, and trust me, it's not just noise. It's a decision that could reshape the Eagles' future for the next 5 years, and we need to break down every angle to understand just how massive this move could be. Let's start with the financials, because that's the side of the equation that often gets overlooked in these debates. TJ Watt's current contract is in its final year, and it carries zero guaranteed money left. That means if the Eagles pull the trigger on this trade, they're not just giving up Nolan Smith and a third-round pick, they're also locking themselves into a new deal with what that could easily top $40 million per year. That's the going rate for elite edge rushers in today's NFL. Just look at what Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, and Brian Burns are making. The market has exploded. Now ask yourself this, is Howie Roseman willing to tear apart the Eagles' current financial blueprint, one that's kept them flexible, young, and deep on defense, in order to bring in a single superstar on a massive payday? Philadelphia's defense, as it stands, is the most cost-efficient in the NFL. They've spent less than $65 million on the unit heading into 2025, and that's been by design. Howie's vision has been clear. Stack the offense with firepower around Jalen Hurts, and surround that with a defense built on youth, rotation, and development. You throw TJ Watt into the mix, and suddenly that number jumps. Not a little, a lot. And don't forget, this team has other big contracts already on the books. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith's extension just kicked in. Jordan Mailata is locked up. And at some point, the Eagles are going to have to start thinking about paying Jalen Carter, too. So the idea that you can just toss $120 million guaranteed at Watt and not feel it elsewhere? That's fantasy football. It's not real-life roster building. But let's look at the flip side. Because the